Hi everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Ask WSO. I'm Isabella. Again, you might have seen me on Wall Street Oasis as Isa2130953. And I just wanted to start off the video by saying thank you to everybody who, really took the time to watch the last video and reach out to me. There was little to no promotion for that video. I posted it on my Instagram if you follow me on there, but other than that, it really didn't go anywhere else. Wall Street Oasis even didn't repost it too much, and it hadn't gone on my LinkedIn yet. So the amount of views that we got for how much little exposure we actually gave the video was pretty great. Also, in comparison to the other videos in their channel, they don't have too many views anyhow, and that's why we're trying to build this channel right now. Today's topic is going to be on events. However, I really wanted to open up with something else. As far as the people that reached out to me, a lot of them had questions about how to get into VC, how I got into VC, etc. There is another podcast on Wall Street Oasis specifically focused on venture capital. However, I will speak a little bit about the advice that I gave. So I recommend people to do venture scout programs. A lot of people know that in VC, like other industries, in finance, there's things that go from analyst to second year analyst to associate. Some people have a senior associate at the fund, others don't. Some people will have a principal and a managing partner, etc. Others won't. So venture scouts are kind of separate from that. There's a certain hierarchy there, whereas a scout doesn't necessarily have to be higher or lower than anything else. A lot of people that are hired for scout roles actually have a lot of experience in other sectors of finance or are professionals with their degrees, such as a lawyer or something along those lines. However, they weren't exactly in VC prior to the career that they're seeking right now. There is no one set term for what a scout is, and it can be kind of a term that's different at every single fund. The reason I'm mentioning all of this is because it does have to do with the advice that I gave to other people, as well as the opportunity that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to be sharing an Airtable link with you guys to Anthos Capital. They are offering a Venture Scout program. Like I said, the term scout differentiates between every fund and everyone that you speak with. Anthos Capital is rolling this out for the first time. So this sheet that they're going to be sending out has a little bit of information on it. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me because I was directly in contact with one of the employees there. At the bottom of the form, it is going to ask you who referenced you to this opportunity. It does require that you put somebody, so please say my name. It's going to be Isabella Guler. It's important that you say my name because that way they know who referenced you. And like I said, I'm in contact with their hiring manager right now. This role is going to be for students only. So if you are interested and you're not a student, keep in mind that this is the first time they're rolling it out. And next year, they're going to have a lot more people on board once they collect some data from how this year went. Alrighty, so getting into the video, this video is going to be about attending events, not necessarily only as a VC, however, attending events is a huge part of being a VC. I'm going to be going over the 7 most important things to remember when attending events and things to keep in mind if it's your first event. So first things first, if your event is free, keep in mind that the quality of this event is going to be different than a paid-for event. The reason for that is free events typically won't have food or drinks comped. They're not going to have the same type of people. When you go to an event that people have to pay for, usually they look into what is this event for? Because if you're paying for an event, you want to make sure it matches with your needs. When it's a free event, a lot of different people go. So they'll say, oh, okay, the food might be cheaper because it's an event, or I just want to network, I'm bored after work, etc. You'll meet a lot of people who are just doing it for whatever reason. So a good way to check the quality of the event is a lot of events come in series. So if you're doing an event that is like network after work is one popular event in this area in Southern California, that's a series. They don't just have one event a year, they have one every couple consecutive months. So you can read about it, you can look it up on social media, see pictures people posted, get a gist of how the event is and what it's going to be like, if it's going to be useful to you, if it's not. If this is your first event, you might want to try a free event just to kind of give it a shot, see how you do. Your first event is never going to go perfectly. You always are going to think of things after you leave that you could have changed, but that's just life. It's practice, and that's what it's for. To dive into my second point a little bit, it does have to do with my first point of getting to know your event, and that definitely has to do with the clothing as well. So make sure to match your environment. If this is a conservative event, don't show up in jeans. If it is one that is not conservative, don't go in overdressed, especially if you're looking for a job or if you're a founder, because you might come off as a little arrogant, just because a lot of people judge on initial and first appearances and they're going to notice what you're wearing. A good way to check what to wear is to look at, like I said, the social media, see pictures of other people who've attended. Don't look at just panelists at the event or certain people that are conducting at the event, because they might dress more formally than the rest of the people that are attending for free or that paid for a ticket. Tying in a little bit more to this as far as knowing your event and what's free and what's not. There are VC panels, there are networking events, there are events specifically for investors, a niche area. So there are medtech investors and founder events, there are real estate events, there are tech events. So when you go to those different events, know that different people are going to be attending them. I went to an event that was like a tech event, and a ton of people there were just like engineers and things like that in the tech space. I had initially thought I was going to go there and meet a bunch of tech founders, but really that was not the case. It was a bunch of people who just left working at Google and got super drunk, and I didn't actually meet too many founders there. So that's why it's kind of important to do screening on these things. Another type of event that to look into if you're going into VC, if you're a founder, or really if you're anybody interested in the startup space, I would recommend looking into accelerator demos of any sort, as well as pitch competitions. The reason I recommend these is because they're not going to be posted as a networking event, because that's not what the purpose of the event is. They're going to have networking, but the real point of them is to do their accelerator demo or whatever else the point of it is. An accelerator demo is when an accelerator showcases some of their startups that they're working with and lets them pitch to everybody in the crowd. So not only are you going to get the chance to talk and hear about startups from startups themselves, but there's going to be other investors who are attending and watching, and other potential startups in the crowd that wanted to network. So you'll get to know those people, and those are almost always free. I don't think I've ever seen one that costs money. The next thing that I would emphasize is founders are more nervous than you, job seekers might be more nervous than you. Everybody there is going there for a purpose, and they might be nervous. The only people that might not be nervous are investors. Typically, they have a lot more experience dealing with these kinds of things, and so they're going to be used to it. Just keep in mind, everybody's nervous. It's not just you. Not everybody in the room is staring at you. It can feel like that. I know. At my first event, I was extremely nervous, and I felt like everybody was looking at me. A lot of people that I hired on as venture scouts, who I mentioned were professionals, however, they didn't have experience in the VC field, weren't sure how to approach this event because they'd been to other events for lawyers or private equity, but they'd never been to an event for the startup scene or as a VC. So what I always recommend for any type of event, no matter what you're doing, is bring a card, bring some sort of identification, which is my next point number 4, and that's so that if people ask you, oh, you know what, that's great, we have a lot of syndication, give me your card. And if you say, you know what, I don't have it, but just don't do that. It doesn't look good, and also people are going to forget about you. So you want to make sure that you gave people something to remember. The cards that I made they look a little bit different. So they're black and they're glossy and the writing on them is shiny. And I also put a little art on it because I didn't want it to get lost in a bunch of other cards. If you don't want to pay for cards, there are apps like Haystack and other apps you can get on your phone that create online cards. So if you don't have cards yet and you're going to attend an event tonight, get a Haystack account. And if somebody's there, I'm pretty sure you can just text them your business card. So not only will they have your business card, but they'll have your phone number. And most people aren't going to say no to that just because you're not saying, can I have your phone number? You're saying, hey, can I send you my business card? And they'll probably be open to it. The next point that I'm going to go over kind of ties into all of this and having confidence, bringing your information with you. And it's to have a pitch and to be there with the purpose. Have a pitch on yourself. If you are attending for the first time, before you go, just think of a couple points that you can say that people are going to ask you, why are you here? Have something to answer that question. So I usually say, hi, I'm Isabella Guler. I'm currently working with XYZ Fund, and I'm looking to meet different startups and different founders and see, if there's anyone we can help out or anything along those lines. Then I like to give some information on my fund. We are a pre-seed through Series A industry-agnostic venture capital firm. We invest at the seed stage and we typically cut XYZ checks, and we're looking to meet startups in this particular sector. I also do a YouTube channel with Wall Street Oasis, and I also do this, and this. I like to lay it all on the table, what I can get out of this relationship, and a lot of people are impressed when you have that pitch because not only do you seem confident in yourself, but you know exactly why you're there, and people are going to like that. So keep that in mind. Even if you're like, oh, I'm a student, don't say it like that. I'm a student. I'm really looking to get into the startup space and meet different people. I want to potentially get a job soon or find an internship, so I'm really looking to meet people. Now, this is going to tie into my next point, which is never dismiss anybody. You should still give that same pitch to a lawyer, to the janitor, as you're going to for the people throwing the event, as you're going to for the founders themselves. The reason for this is because these people might have connections that you don't know. I've gone to events and I met these women. They were totally not dressed up the way that I was, and they were really giggly, and I thought, oh, maybe they're friends with this dude who's having an app launch, because the event was for an app launch. And they actually own their own businesses. They just left the finance world. They started this company. It was really successful, and they were great. They brought me a lot of different connections to startups, and we have a huge syndication with them now. So it's important never to dismiss anyone. I also have spoken to people in wealth management where I'm like, wealth management, what am I going to get out of this? And they're like, hey, I have a lot of startups or people who have money on the side that are in wealth management that want to create a startup or work with one, and I can always send them your way, and I can always send people their way. So there's that syndication there, and it's important to remember not to dismiss anybody. If someone is coming to you for a job, don't dismiss them either if you already have one, because hey, maybe they're going to be successful, they're going to have a job, they're going to be a reference, or they're going to know somebody that's going to help you later. And also think of how you can help others. Don't only go to these events with the mentality of helping yourself. Helping other people is important, and I'm all for it. I always talk to people who are interested in getting into VC, and I give them a ton of advice. I actually recently just spoke on a VC panel, and this guy who was probably in his late 40s or early 50s went up to me and he was like, hey, you're so young, but you were so well spoken on this panel, and I've been really trying to get into venture capital and all this stuff. And I was so shocked the way that he spoke to me, just because he had so much experience, years more of work experience than me, and he has a lot of experience in the tech space. And I gave him a lot of advice, and he was very humble and very happy about it. And so I don't like to dismiss anybody ever, and that's why I always say you guys can message me with any questions. I promise I will give you a long, well-thought response to it. I've already done that to a ton of people. A lot of people don't want to leave questions in the comment section just because a lot of questions are very specific to them and their background. So just remember that you can ask me anything. It's in full confidence. I am an employee for Wall Street Oasis, so I'm not going to give away information on you, of course. And yeah, just feel comfortable like I'm a friend. The last thing is, don't be too stiff. Don't look annoyed at the event. Even if you're nervous, super nervous, give off a positive vibe. You want people to know that you want to be talked to, even if you're nervous. And don't stick around the same person the whole night. If it's your first event and you want to meet 2 or 3 people and kind of keep to yourself in the corner, that's fine. But as time progresses, you're going to want to push those boundaries every single time and make sure that you look approachable. If people aren't going up to you, there might be a reason for that. It might be an expression that you're making that you're not aware of. I know I can have a certain face sometimes where people are intimidated by me. So you want to make sure that you don't want to intimidate people. I actually went to an event for MedTech, and almost everyone there was founders. There was just a couple of investors, and everybody had to take the microphone and say, hi, this is me, this is what I do. So of course I did my pitch, and this one guy just grabbed the microphone and he was like, I'm an investor, and passed it on. And everyone was like, oh, because everyone's like, hi, I'm a founder, I'm doing this, and they're all excited, and he's like, investor, and just passes the microphone. Nobody wanted to talk to him after that. Everybody went up to me and my friend because we were the only investors there, and we were very approachable, and people don't want to speak to people who are, entitled or appear to be entitled. So, I wouldn't go about things that way, even if you are an investor and you feel, oh, I have the power in this situation, because at the end of the day, founders really are going to be flocking to you. Don't get like that. It's wrong. Or if you work for a company that everybody wants to work for and job seekers go to you, don't dismiss them. It reflects poorly on you, and it's really just not appreciated. I'm over here, I get offended by it, and it's not even towards me, but I just don't like when people have an elitist type of attitude. It's not just me that doesn't like when people have that attitude. A lot of people don't. So that's something you're going to want to keep in mind to look approachable. Alrighty guys, well I hope you liked my 7 facts about events. I hope you guys do consider applying to that Anthos Capital, Venture Scout position. Like I said, it'll be great for your resume. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, whether it's on my social medias that will be linked down below or on Wall Street Oasis. Keep in mind, the reason why I'm pushing my social medias is because on Wall Street Oasis, I'm an employee, so I can reply as many times as I want, but most people are only able to send one message. So if you can't reply to me more than once in one day and you have a bunch of questions, doing it through Wall Street Oasis might not be the best avenue. If you don't have an account on there, please create one. It's a great site. However, you might want to message me elsewhere if you have a question and you want a back and forth conversation. So like I said, all those social medias will be linked down below. Last but not least, I wanted to just reiterate the fact that put my name down as a reference. If it doesn't work out, no big deal. You can ask me particular questions about anything. I do believe on the form, it's going to ask you about a particular company and if you want to invest in it. So think of a company that pertains to the fund. Obviously, this is about Anthos Capital. However, if you're applying for something ever in the future, they usually do ask a question. Put a startup that you would invest in and why. Make sure you think about it. Look at the company's portfolio, see what they invest in, and do your best to find something that might have syndication with them. Say, hey, this company is at Series B, you're a growth stage venture capital fund, they're doing great because of X, Y, and Z, and explain why it's great to you. Don't find another answer on the internet and use it because most likely it's repetitive and it might not even be a good answer. It should be special to you. So yeah, thank you again so much for watching. I'm probably going to be doing this every single Thursday and doing once a week. So I look forward to speaking with all of you again. Again, please feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Have a great day. Bye.